Um, yeah, so yesterday was cool, using the site. Like I like the layout, the back end. It's like super, like just clean and easy. You know what I mean? To use the dashboard is nice. Um, I have all these multiple accounts on SiteGround and stuff, and it's like every time I got to go in, I log out. I have to log out of one, and then I go into the other one. And even if I close the window, I go back. I still have to log back in, and it's like, you're doing a million things and trying to manage, dozens of client sites and stuff, and it just becomes kind of a nightmare. But the one thing I wanted to ask you was, so when you go into the back end, you have all. I should actually share my screen. Let me see. I can share my screen, right? Oh, it's disabled. It's all right. All the data centers. So like you can have like all your accounts, all your sites on one account, right? But those data centers are all over. So you could essentially, it's not like you have all your sites on one IP address, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's almost, you can think of it as site to data center
Yeah.
location. So and the other big difference about our locations is they're in major metro areas similar to where the CDNs are. So rather than being in the middle of nowhere in, like, whether it's Iowa or even Virginia or somewhere that's just not very populated, all of our data centers are in the same space that Cloudflare and Akamai and all these CDNs reside in, because they have all the connectivity directly into these service providers, like your ISPs. So we actually, there's a big benefit to that. If you have a customer that's, say, a lawn maintenance company in South Florida, it makes a lot of sense for them to be in Miami.
Yeah.
Regardless of, take all the questions out of there, right? So 95% of traffic will go through Miami anyways and stop there because of our full page caching with Cloudflare. But let's just say it's the first pull, or if it's just cold or whatever it is, you're still getting the same performance you would if it was coming from Cloudflare.
Gotcha. It's not taking as many hops too. Like I think you had said that your infrastructure is essentially in the same like space. So it's like, instead of, if I had a server in New Jersey and the Cloudflare thing was in wherever it was, it has to go from out there all the way. How many hops it takes to get there? Where you're essentially just going boop right over to the next rack, right? So I mean, the latency is like next to nothing.
Yeah, and the other good thing about it too is, we work with Performo.com, and they have a peering relationship with Cloudflare as well. So you could think of it as, when you go to a site, and let's say the site's in New Jersey, but the user is coming from Miami. So the user is going to go from their ISP, their home or business. They're going to hit what's called a central office, which is where the cable company is. And then they're going to say, oh, we need to route you to this exchange, which is Miami. So then they go to Miami's exchange, and Cloudflare is like, okay, we know that this origin is in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Here's the path to get there. So you're traversing a private backbone instead of the public internet. So you can think of it as, if you're in a new town that you've never been, you can either go to the store with a GPS or not. You'll eventually get there either way, but you'll get there much faster with the GPS.
Gotcha. So like yesterday, I had signed up and I just created a brand new site, like just a straight up nothing, brand new site. And then you helped me move over a site that's getting traffic, and we increased the scores. There's another video where I did all the before and afters, and we increased the score dramatically, which was really cool. For most people, I mean, they're going to be able just to come on and move their site over, and it's probably going to be good to go for the most part, because you're taking advantage of you're taking advantage of Cloudflare thing. Like you guys, like that's the part of me, like, because I've been doing this stuff for a long time, so I talked about having control. Like sometimes I'm like, even though I don't know what I'm doing half the time, I just want to break it myself. Like, you know what I mean? Or I don't want to wait. Like I'll go to hosting support and I'll be like, oh, this sucks or something. Or then I'll come back with, oh, well, that's your plugin, or that's this. We're not going to do that. I don't expect the hosting company to fix all my problems, but sometimes it's like, dude, like, listen, I just paid all this money. Point me in the friggin' direction. What should I at least do? Like, can you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, for most people that come in, you're going to have most of those back end things pretty much squared away, right? Like that's the beauty of how you have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even if, for example, you don't have a caching plugin, right?
Yeah.
Your WordPress site at the end of the day is PHP grabbing data out of a database and presenting it to a user in HTML, which is rendered in a browser.
Yeah.
So what we've done is configured Cloudflare with our enterprise offering there to take that HTML output and just cache it. So
Gotcha.
because we use the dynamic cache with the cookie, bypass the cache on a cookie existing, if you're logged into WordPress, if you are getting WooCommerce cookies, all of those things make it fully compatible. So, you know, the smaller percentage of traffic that does need to be dynamic will still go to the origin. Meanwhile, even when that happens, even if I'm buying something on WooCommerce, the requests that matter for the database for the checkout process will go to the origin, but images, styles, those still get cached. And it comes from your domain. You don't need to do a secondary domain like cdn.yourdomain. You don't need a subdomain. It's all
I hate
just
doing
done.
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more configuration burden, right? And
Yeah.
SSL managed, now you got to manage SSL for that, and all this different stuff. So, you know, there's a huge benefit out of the box. And then the other side of it is really around content optimization. And there's certain things like auto optimize, even
Yeah.
WP Rocket. You know, there's a couple of different plugins out there that will consolidate some of your CSS, consolidate your JS, minify it. And, you know, really caching plugins for us just help free up resources on the server, because even
Yeah.
that first hit doesn't need PHP. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, every site we've moved to the platform without changing a thing has seen a dramatic improvement. And the main reason is time to first byte. Like your site, for example, had a 1.5 second time to first byte.
Yeah.
That means when I plug your URL into my browser, I'm waiting for almost 2 seconds to see anything at all.
Yeah.
And then I think on us, it was like 60 or 100 milliseconds or something like that.
It cut
So
it down.
that's a huge difference, especially in today. You know, people don't want to wait for anything. So if I'm going to buy something and it takes us 2 seconds, I feel like this is not a good product, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that comes back to too, like the one thing I was noticing, like, you know, a lot of times, you know, for me, because I'm not a developer or anything like that, I'll just, you know, I need to do this. What plugin do I get? What plugin do I get? All of a sudden I got 30 plugins running on my site. My site's all jacked up. Now, you know, hey, if you have a good, powerful server, it doesn't matter. But if you're on some $3 hosting or something like that, all of a sudden that gets eaten up real quick, right? And the one thing I noticed on yours is essentially you have the different plans, but essentially it's the same. Everyone's in the same space, right? It's just whether you're going to pay for one site, 2 sites, 5 sites, multiple sites, but you're getting, right? You're more or less getting, well, not to say, you know, you could either have 5 gigs of space or 10 gigs of space, but you're getting the resources, right? Like whether you're on the basic or the agency, or, I mean.
Right. So typically the way it works is everything is confined into its own virtual environment. So there's definitely not like sharing like that to where you could see another customer site or things like that.
Of course, yeah.
But you know, with that said, we utilize what's called the edge, which is the newest buzzword that, you know, is catching on. But you know, sort of the edge, which is like a CDN, right? So when you think about the edge, you know, even if you go to our network page, we talk about the edge of the cloud, and that's really, you know, every single cloud like Amazon, Google, Azure, they all interconnect to these, you know, these data centers that are like internet exchanges. And that's where the edge of the cloud is, because that's your first entry point into it. So that's where we have our actual hosting. But, you know, when you think about the resources, instead of our servers having that, so first and foremost, PHP is rarely used. If you're logged into WP admin, that's pretty much when PHP is used on our servers.
That's when,
2, we have a micro cache that also sits on our servers, barely gets used, but it caches assets for a second. So that way, if there was just some burst of traffic and it wasn't necessarily warmed up at Cloudflare yet, it's not going to put a huge damper on PHP or your site or your anything like that. It gets served out of memory. So we've kind of started, you know, in reverse to optimize our stack. And rather than focusing on, hey, you get 8 workers of PHP or you get this many containers with auto scaling, we focus on scaling content. So, you know, that's really where it comes down to it. Like your resource utilization isn't CPU and memory, it's traffic, right? So there's really not an easy way for you to need 32 cores for the WordPress site on our platform, because, you know, we're taking 95% of the hit with Cloudflare.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess too, like the other thing too, like, you know, we're like 10 minutes into talking about this, and I think if anyone is really interested in understanding a hosting, it'll be good for someone to listen to this to understand where it is. Like, it's like, you know, there's so many hosts out there where it's just some guy who's got his own WHM account and he's just, you know, selling it for $10 a month to 500 people, and God forbid that thing crashes, right? There's nothing new about what they're doing. So like part of it's like this, like the whole back end, like you kind of put this together, right? I mean, you've been in this business for a long time, right? You've been with all these other companies, like you put together things. So essentially this isn't just some like patch together thing. I mean, this is you put some of your tricks of the trade into this, right? I mean,
funny enough, you know, when Aaron and I started doing business together, I was a customer of Aaron's in 2006, and when he was he was a co-founder at fastservers.net. I had a company called Host9, and you know,
I remember Host9. Yeah.
I had a couple $1,000 in the bank. You know, I launched this company at 21 years old, and you know, I knew I had to be different. So I thought a lot about it, and I built something to solve the exact problem you just explained.
So I think I was an affiliate for Host9. Was that on Share a Sale or one of those at one point, maybe?
Commission Junction.
Commission Junction. Yeah, I was going to say. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So back then we built this thing called Reseller Central to solve that exact problem. The problem with reseller hosting is if you get a WHM account and 80 other people get a WHM account, as the provider, I want you to succeed, which means you're going to add sites for the the lifetime of your account with my company.
Yeah.
But servers don't scale, vertically or even horizontally. Sometimes you can add a little bit of RAM to them, some disks and things, but not really. Yeah. So what happens is, a year or two into it, those servers start to really perform like crap. So I said, well, I don't want to have that problem, but I also don't want my customers to have all their eggs in one basket. So Reseller Central acted as sort of a transformation layer in front of an infinite amount of cPanel servers. So Reseller Central, instead of getting WHM, you got access to Reseller Central, chose a location, created a site. And then that was a cPanel account. That's what you gave your customers. Yeah. So, we started solving that because let's say even if you wanted all your sites in Dallas, you add a site, you come back 2 weeks later, it's going to be on another server because we're adding servers like crazy. Gotcha. So that's kind of, rewinding to 2007 when that really came out. You look at what we're doing today, one of the features we launched, I think in 2009 was auto-installing WordPress, creating an account.
Huge. I remember having to download it, create your database, upload it. Yeah.
We used a software called Fantastico back then.
Yeah. I remember that.
The installations, and they finally came out with some way for us to, we actually, I think, ended up leveraging some developers at cPanel to build this. But we made a little hook that would just install WordPress. It was Drupal, Joomla, and you could make a package in WHMCS and say, I want it to auto install WordPress, and it would kick it off. And you fast forward to 2020, we're doing almost the same thing, but now we have this whole new era of caching and security, and that's what we're really baking in on top. So I mean, the platform that we've built is really nothing new to us because we've been doing this for so long, and Reseller Central was so similar to that. Yeah. And, the goal was really, if we make this easy for an SMB, then a CTO or a web dev or anybody, web pro can use it no problem. And that's really what we did.
Yeah. And it's, like I get in my own head and I do stupid stuff just because I just like to make problems. But when I look at this, I'm like, gosh, for someone who just wants to come in, get a website built, have it up and running. I mean, it was pretty freaking simple. I mean, most hosts are fairly simple. It's just, it's a lot more simplified, I think. And just how the dashboard, there's not a lot of, you go into some people's dashboard, there's 8,000 buttons. You're like, what what am I doing? I have no idea, but it's easy. And again, I just start to overthink all these things just because for me, I know from over the years, like I've had to deal with every aspect of, going in and, going in the file manager and dealing with files or tweaking this or tweaking a database, going into PHP, my admin and going in and like changing somebody's hash code because we forgot, whatever the heck it is, you know what I mean? So I get a little bit ahead of myself, but yeah, it's funny. I mean, obviously we both know like hosting's come a long way. I think we were talking, I said, I remember when I first had my first website that had a lot of traffic, I had to spring like, $300 a month at one point for a dedicated like crappy server on like Softlayer. And I was like, oh my God, like $300 a month. Like, that was a ton of money back then. And I had to do it. And then eventually that's got bigger. And then I had like I had one server for the database. I had one for the files. And then, I was spending $500 a month. And then I went to this site, then it was a bandwidth issue, then all of a sudden, and now that site still have it. It's not getting as much traffic, but I was literally running that on like a, $200 a year hosting now. And it's like just the way that things have came, where things have come is pretty crazy. The one thing I'd asked you too is, the more, the more I started thinking about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? It makes total sense. Like I was saying, hey, do you guys run email? And you told me no. And I was like, oh man, like I do have some accounts where I have clients that use email via the cPanel. And when we started talking about it before, I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like and I even made another video and talking about it. I was like, you know what? Like if you have a business and you're running this business, don't use crap. Get real email. Like, why are you? Because that's the thing. I think back to the most headaches I've had with my clients that I've hosted was the email running through cPanel.
Absolutely.
Oh, this isn't working. They the hosting changed their freaking whatever thing, and now the emails don't work. I have to go in there and recreate their pop settings in Outlook, freaking 2003 or something.
I mean,
stupid.
I still have one of the free G Suite accounts for bengabler.com. It's
nice.
Grandfathered in.
Yeah, my buddy
I've had that for years and years and years and years. I've yet to have a problem with G Suite email, and I swear by it.
Oh yeah, I've probably got. I mean, anytime I launch some sort of site that I care about, that I know is going to make money, that I'm going to do stuff with, I get a G Suite account. So I probably got 6 or 7, paid G Suite accounts. Hey, Aaron, you were so still before. I was wondering what was going on.
I gotta pop in with the coolest tip ever, man.
What do you got?
You can buy one-time accounts, Gmail accounts on eBay, right? So like I've had a few small businesses where they're just micro businesses. There's no way I'm paying $10 a month for an email account on there. For $50 one-time fee, I can go get the original accounts that they used to get for free. You can buy them on eBay one time.
That's good.
No affiliate links here, anything free.
Yeah. No, that's good. Well, I mean, that's the thing, So part of it was yesterday was going through the process of just getting set up. And then so I went through yesterday and I showed you a screenshot. I went through all my domains and sites that I had. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. But then when I started looking at a couple of them, I'm like, all right, these people have email that's running here. So and I know you said you could probably help me out with some stuff, but in my head, I'm going, you know what though? It's just it's almost not worth the headache in a way. Like I'd rather just get them go. And like, listen here, G Suite is $6 a month. I think you can, if you can't handle $6 a month email for a couple addresses, then you don't have a business. Like no offense, but
yeah.
And one of the accounts I have is actually an emergency squad, and they've got so many email accounts. And I'm like, they give it to you for free. You just have to call up, so they'll give for emergency responders. They do or a super discount. So so I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people, if I didn't think about that and I signed up and I started moving stuff over, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, I need all this email. It could be, again, you probably shouldn't be doing. I dealt with another client today, brought someone to me, and they have InMotion. So the lady has 20 InMotion cPanel email accounts, and then they're all forwarding to like whatever at Gmail, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, I don't even want to deal with this, but so it's just
we're good friends with the CEO of InMotion as well. That's the other fun thing for Aaron and I is we're back with our roots. Like this is an industry we've been in for 17 plus years, and it's always nice to kind of have a lot, having calls with the CEO of Host Papa and other companies. It's just great. It just reminds you of how good, this ecosystem as a competitor really is too, because, we've always been friends with competitors, no matter what. We all help each other, and it's a great spot to be in for sure.
Yeah.
And,
for sure.
we're going to do some content around that email thing as well, because it's exactly sort of the light bulb that you had, for, oh, this makes sense, because for us, we're not email experts. We want to focus on getting the best possible WordPress experience in the world. So allow the experts with email to focus on your email, that you'll never get blacklisted and this, that, and the other. And it's well worth it.
Exactly, right? Because you're on one account and someone's doing stupid stuff with their email, and then that IP gets blacklisted. Now that whole whoever, you know what I mean? It's just a nightmare.
Right.
One of the other big things too. What does the back end look like? And I'm sure Cloudflare takes care of most of this, but big thing is even with SiteGround, which most of my sites are on. You have to pay extra money for like the daily malware scans and stuff like that. Like, how does your stuff work in case, let's just say I get, or do you have best practices like, hey, you should install this? Because most of the time I'll stick WordFence on a website, and I know that can be resource intensive too. But, I just find sometimes as long as I know that's kind of on there, I'm safe. But, what's the whole, your, best practices or idea of what you guys have as far as covering that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, the biggest difference with us is, WordFence is great software, don't get me wrong, but it's using PHP to do everything. And that's not the most performant way, right? Like when you run server level security, it can be in C, it can be in, Golang, many different languages, that are much faster than PHP, and that makes sense for those types of big jobs. But, we actually partnered with a company called Immunify 360, and we have real-time malware and scanning in every server we have. So as soon as a file is attempted to be written to the file system, it gets scanned first.
Oh,
so,
wow. Okay.
We've had cases where customers sign up and they try to install like an exploited theme, like a 0-day theme that they downloaded that was,
nice.
hacked or whatnot.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is all of these, cracked themes and plugins, they have malware in them. That's what they do. Yeah. And we catch them right away, and it gets quarantined. The file never exists, right?
Yeah.
So it works for FTP, web, anything that tries to write to the file system, we will scan.
Yeah.
And that's all. And that's integrated. So you don't have to go pay for WordFence or any other third-party solution. We have that at the server level.
Cool. Yeah, or even if you're moving a site from some other older junky hosting that's not scanning anything, and then you move it in, it's got or I've done stuff where I put it off onto my computer, and then all of a sudden my antivirus on the computer is like ding 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 ding. I'm like, oh geez, oh god. I had one years ago, real short story. I had FileZilla, and there was a big hack in FileZilla, man, and I had like 30 websites, and all it got hacked. It was it was horrible. 30 websites, had to go into every one, clean all the files out. Oh, it was a nightmare. Which leads me to backups. What's your backup process look like?
So we have backups that run daily, all at the server level. It backs up, it snapshots the entire account, and it does an incremental every day. And we have a 14-day retention. So
cool.
The 14-day retention, it's definitely more of an industry checkbox. I would say I think it's definitely overkill in a sense, but even though you can never have too many backups, but again, since they're incremental, it's not too bad for us as a company and for the user. It's typically the immediate rollback of like, oh, my site's got messed up. I need to go back to yesterday.
Yeah. For most people that are, putting a blog post once in a while, not doing anything, their sites are pretty static for the most part. But I guess if there's, if you're coming in you have a crazy site, you may do a third party thing that you want more control over too, or do more backups or whatever. That's the one thing I was going to say too, is like as far as backups, or like let's say if something does happen where you get a virus or something like that. Now, obviously, I know you guys are fairly new and you're not huge yet, and obviously, you can't give one-on-one support to every single person. Well, that's the thing, and not to say anything, but a lot of times the hosts, they'll offer you the world when you get in, and then they start to grow, and it's like just not. It's not physically feasible.
And that's the fundamental difference between our business too, right? Like if you even think back to HostGator before it was sold. Support was phenomenal the whole way, right?
I remember.
It was great. And then the second it got sold, it was a much different story. But, for us, we won't have a plan that's cheaper than, $30 a month, right? We want to build a sustainable, relationship with our customers to where, there can be one-on-one support. We have a customer we're onboarding that we're doing a shared Slack channel with the whole way through their migration.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So,
I think that's good too, because it is like nerve wracking, you know what I mean? And obviously like yesterday, Aaron spammed me to get my, no, I'm just kidding. He it was funny because he emailed my contact form on my website, and I was like, oh geez, what the hell is this? And I'm like, well, actually this looks kind of cool. I like this. And then I replied back like, hey, and then that's how I got here. But, dealing when I was on the support, you hit me up. I was like, is this Ben, the owner? And he's like, yes. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. Like, and obviously like, I don't expect that forever, or maybe we do. I don't know. But,
you should, right? From me personally, because, I remember even at GoDaddy or, whichever company, when we relaunched the cPanel products at GoDaddy, I did 70 tickets that day and who knows how many chats, but for me, I'm very customer centric. I want to stay involved. If I'm not, even at StackPath, I was monitoring chats for 2 years. I wanted to make sure customers were getting good interactions with our support. I wanted to make sure they were getting the features they needed. And, that's really, where I try to focus is, we obviously have our own initiatives and backlog and roadmap, but a lot of the roadmap is left for customer input. So we can build what's going to make our customers' lives easier. And the way we get that information is from working with them.
Yeah, for sure. And there's something we said, when you put in a ticket and then you wait a whole day to get back when your sites might still be down, and then all of a sudden they're saying, well, that's not our responsibility. That's a plugin. You have to do this, this, and this. And it's someone who's like, dude, I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? Or it's just nice to be able to actually talk to somebody and get that help. Because and that's the thing. Like you know how it is. Like I'll deal with people that You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You deal with people. They get two hits a day to their website, and if the site's down, they think that the world is over because people aren't able to get to it. When like, listen, no one's going to your website, and you know what I mean. Like, not to be mean, but that's how people feel. So when they, they're at their wits' end because their stuff's not working, and they just want someone to support, or at least give them realistic expectations of like, hey, listen, here's what's happening. We're gonna fix this for you, right? And I guess half the battle too is that you're setting up hosting in a way where hopefully all this crap that normally comes around hosting isn't going to happen in the first place because you're kind of just setting this up, exactly as how you want it, how everything should work.
Right.
So, what else do I have? Is there any like plugin limitations, anything that you guys disallow? Like I remember on GoDaddy, managed, there used to be certain plugins, which probably was a smart thing, to be honest with you, not allowing some of them. But sometimes there was plugins that were really good and they just didn't allow it, and it was like, oh man, come on, I was using this thing.
Right. Yeah. So we haven't had that issue again, I think, because a lot of the limited plugins we see are really around the word fence, which is, I don't really understand that one. But a lot of it's there's conflicts with their own MU plugins. Like I've seen some people ban W3 Total Cache. And then, the word fence due to the resource utilization. So,
gotcha.
Those are the big ones. And then anything else that's really resource intensive, I mean, if it's doing something really bad,
you'll get an alert or about it or something, right? Yeah, and let people know, hey, this isn't good. So there's no file manager type access, but obviously there's like FTP and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and we have, so you mentioned PHP MyAdmin earlier, and we do have a universal PHP MyAdmin coming in the near future that works with our SSO system, and then same with the file manager.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, like I said too, like I'm just one that gets in there and does a lot of stuff sometimes, because like I said, sometimes I honestly, it sounds weird, but coming from an IT background and stuff, like sometimes I like to back up my site and move it over to a new host. Or I like to do that technical stuff. You know what I mean? It's weird, but I like to do it and waste my time and break it, and then like, why did I just spend 2 hours on this? But that leads into the next question. So essentially, I know you helped me out big time the other day. So for most people that come in, let's say they have 1, 2, 3, 10 websites on another host, what's the process look like for them getting those sites over to rocket.net?
So it's the same process that we ran through. I mean, typically customers will either be on chat or submit a ticket, and then that way we just take the WP admin credentials and just clone the site from there. It gets put on a temporary rocket.net URL. They can speed test it, make sure everything was moved over properly, and then go through the go live process.
Cool. All right. Yeah, that's what I figured. I'm just and now so it's just you sign up, put in a ticket, get the information over, and then boom, 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 good to go.
Exactly. Typically, due to the with our staff and the experience, we're able to pretty much knock these migrations out within hours of signing up, depending on time of day. But typically it's pretty quick. We'll as soon as we get the ticket, I mean, as long as the logins work, the only times they usually take a little bit longer is if there's a lot of uploads. For example, on your site, we had an issue with some of the uploads, so we had an FTP login, knocked it out.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes, and I just noticed that too, like, you get a bigger site, just when you try to do it through the browser or one of the plugins, it just kind of times out, so FTP it.
Yeah, and it just takes forever, right? And we don't, we want to make it a good experience for our customers. So, we can go into the server and actually, pull 8 concurrent threads to the FTP and just start downloading.
Nice.
We had a blog we moved that was started in 2006, I think. So there was a lot of uploads.
That's how that one site I was talking about, where I was in a dedicated one for, I still have that same site, but when you try to move that site, man, it's nuts because there's just thousands and thousands. It's just insanity. So that's why I hate moving stuff. When I move that one over, we'll have to see how it does. There's something else I was just gonna ask you too. Crap, completely forget now. Went blank. Is there anything else that like you would want people to know about the hosting and just any reason to switch from the one that they're on or anything like that? Got me.
Sorry, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry, there's a real bad storm here, so just
really?
Thunder going. I don't want to get cut off. So I think one of the biggest things. Looks like
I'm sorry. I should rephrase it, right? From you being in the industry forever, and like you said, you're very focused on the customer. Like, what are the typical website owners, pain points with hosting, and like what are they, and how what here is the things that people would probably want to hear to be like. I think if someone watches this video that knows a little bit about hosting and sees what's going on, they would definitely have a better understanding of why Rocket's a good host.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll jump in and lay some mad marketing science on there. And Ben Yosef, man, designed this thing to be easy. And by easy, I mean we have a CDN, we have Cloudflare. You can hear that different acronyms are thrown around, WAF, and all this stuff to protect your WordPress site. But the magic is you don't need to know anything about those things to take advantage of them. You change your DNS and you're utilizing an advanced feature set designed specifically for WordPress. So for me, like you, I'm a tinkerer, right? I like to tinker. There are things and websites and maybe even people's websites that I work on that I shouldn't tinker with, and why they should consider us versus SiteGround or anybody else is for $5 a month, tinker all the way. If you got a real site that you need traffic, distributed, fast, and good SEO results, it's only $1 a day.
Yeah. True.
I think the biggest thing is people, and this is something we need to do better with our content as well. People don't realize what they're getting for the price either, right? So Cloudflare, for example, if you wanted their pro plan, which doesn't have all of the capabilities we give you, that's $20 a website.
Yep.
That doesn't come with a lot of the features we include, including the full page caching with the cookie bypass and some other stuff that we do. But, I had somebody on Facebook say I could just go get a Facebook or a VPS, run cloud, and a paid CDN and be cheaper. Yeah. And I said, okay, well, let's break that down. Let's say you got the cheapest VPS you could find, $5 a month, which good luck running a web server and MySQL and everything of that. But let's say $5. Okay, let's go look at Run Cloud, $9 a month. Okay, we're already at 14. Now let's go look at Cloudflare Pro, $20 a month. You're $34 a month, right? And that's for one site.
Yeah.
And you're gonna pay more, but people just don't necessarily realize that. And the other thing that I don't think people realize is Bluehost isn't as cheap as it says it is. When you get into the order form, you have to pay for 3 years to get any kind of pricing that's low. And then when it renews at like 10x the price.
Yeah, so, that's everywhere kind of. Well, that's something
again,
that
no CDN, no acceleration, no website firewall, and if you want, GoDaddy is another example. I saw they were doing $1 a month for WordPress for the first year. Yeah. And I'm like, I got to see this. So I click add to cart, and then it says SSL certificate, $9 a month.
That's what I was coming. That's the one thing I wanted to ask you. And then Aaron had said Cloudflare, and I wanted to say, the SSL is free because a lot of places because Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I've talked to people on GoDaddy and like, oh, I have to get an SSL. It's $100 a year for the year. I'm like, listen, I'll move you over to my hosting. It's free. Like, why are we paying for it? And because for a while there, when Google, the big thing was SSL, like everyone needs SSL, so everyone was like, holy shit, we got to cash in on this. And then I think a lot of them use like Let's Encrypt and stuff like that for the free ones. So that's what I wanted to get to as well. The SSL is coming through Cloudflare, right? You're utilizing that.
It's all we have certs on the servers, so even Cloudflare to the server is all encrypted. But it's all managed too. So there's not even a way to have non-HTTPS traffic on Rocket.net. Everything is HTTPS forced because we have SSLs. Why would we not? So that's another protection for our customers is we auto redirect HTTP to HTTPS. So that way, there's no way that credit card information can get leaked due to a bad setup, whatever it is. We provide that level of security, and in fact, we even have features. We don't explain well enough on the website, but like weak password protection. If somebody tries to create a WordPress user with the password, it will fail.
Smart. Yeah. You should put these on there because these are the things, like you said, some guy, I can go get a VPS. And that's the thing too, like I have a VPS, but there's different VPSs. There's different dedicated servers. I can go buy a dedicated server for $100 a month, right? Run as many sites as I want, but it's not managed. I got to spend another $100 to be it managed because I looked at my
single location.
Yeah. And I looked at my VPS, and if I want different IPs, I got to buy a new IP address, blah, 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 blah. And then I was looking at the VPS that I had. I'm like, stuff's so out of date because I don't update. You know what I mean? So it's like, people have to become a server tech. Like you have to, all of a sudden start doing this stuff and you could break things real quick, man. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But yeah, I guess that's everyone, you get what you pay for in a way, right? If you just want a cheap churn and burn type, affiliate site or something, you can go probably get cheap hosting. But if you have anything that you actually want to stay up and running, you want it backed up, you want it taken care of, you're serious about, you're going to have to get quality hosting, not just from you, but anywhere you go,
Exactly. And, there's a case study we did with 2 Dot Marketing on our blog, and, in there, it'll even talk through how, we're able to handle it, set it and forget it, focus on content. We focus on the performance, the speed, the security. We're constantly making sure WordPress is optimized and protected so our customers can just focus on content. If you're a web designer that's designing a website for a client, focus on the client updates, charge them the management fee, but you shouldn't have to worry about tinkering with WordPress updates, this, that, and the other, how to make their site faster because this new lazy loading thing came out. That's really where our platform comes, shines the most.
Do you have as I was just saying this, I was just thinking, so I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and he I was talking about uptime and redundancy and stuff like that too. And I don't even know, these are some things that I should probably, I know there's third parties and stuff, like type stuff where, ping, or if the site goes down, do you get a notice? I don't know if that's available. I'm just putting it out there because we were talking to him yesterday. This guy, he's spending $5,000 a day on YouTube ads, and he didn't realize the one time he's like, whoa, I haven't, he spends $5,000.
Haven't gotten an order in a while.
He's like, he's always checking like order, and he's like, oh, what's going on? Then he realized his site's down, blew through 2 Gs, the site was down. You know what I mean? He had no idea. So it's like, is there something like that that's built in, or is it just
we have platform level monitoring powered by Site 24/7. One of the features they have is site monitoring. So eventually we're going to expose the ability to throw a monitor on a site if it's a mission critical site like that. But one of the coolest things about our platform, because we're using the Cloudflare integration the way we are, even if there was a server reboot or maintenance or whatever happened, we leverage Cloudflare's always online for every site. Gotcha. And they actually just partnered with archive.org. So in your case, if the site went down, they would still continue to show either the latest cache version they had, and if they didn't have anything, they'd show the latest archive.org version of it. So that way it's at least something. And that's, that's sort of like, to us, we'd still count that as an outage, don't get me wrong, but there's other things we have that I can't share yet, but there's some pretty cool things that we're working on to help, solve those problems. Even on our network, even before Cloudflare, if we had to, do some maintenance and it might have, we know it's an hour window or whatever, those don't really exist anymore, but it's usually like a couple minutes. But there's a lot of different things we have coming down the pipeline in 2021 that I think will be, really exciting. 2020 was really about, kicking the tires on the platform, getting the necessities out there and, enabling people to benefit like they already are, and then just taking it to the next level.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and that's always good when you have, new things coming in and stuff, and not, little features and stuff like that. It's always, it's like it's a typical thing, right? You can be hosting on a server for years and years and years and never have an issue, and then I see some new bells and whistles somewhere else, and then all of a sudden now I'm like, oh, I want to go over there because they're doing this, this, and this. But it's like sometimes you just have to stay in the forefront of your client's mind. Just be like, hey, guess what? We just offered this, we offered that. Just to know that you're doing something instead of just my site living there.
Absolutely. And being, like we're going to have a feature request board inside of the portal soon, powered by one of my favorite companies called Canny.io. It's a product management secret. I swear it's the best thing ever. Like even Facebook uses it. These founders actually came from Facebook, but it allows us to create sort of like a feature request board, which that's not necessarily new technology. They're all over the place, but it allows us to really embed it in the portal, and customers can start voting on features and requesting them. And it's totally transparent. Like we want our customers to know what we're working on, where we're headed, and we want them to help drive, give us direction. I think
Gotcha.
It's not that we don't know what to build. I could keep developers busy for years. I have so many ideas, but I want to build what's relevant and so like, that solves problems. Like I love to see us solve a problem
and make sure it all works before you jump to the next thing.
Exactly.
What about if for me, so I'm I got to put all my stuff together, but so for me on SiteGround I have like one reseller account. I probably got about 20 reseller accounts in there. Now if I move them over, in all honesty, none of them ever really do anything anyway except go into WordPress. But if somebody wanted it, actually I guess they probably wouldn't even need it. They really wouldn't even need it, right? I mean, they wouldn't need dashboard access because they're not doing anything. So I guess it's kind of a null point. That's the thing. That's the thing. Sometimes I tend to overthink because I think about what I want access to when other people don't even know what the heck they just know their website runs on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Typically our agency customers won't even, they may not even give access to WordPress just because they're selling a managed service themselves. Right. Client tinkering is more dangerous than server admin tinkering. Right. So,
oh my gosh, you're not kidding.
I think when it comes down to dashboard, which is, our control panel, I think there's going to be a feature we have coming where some customers may want to pass the bill on to their customer, and you would be able to create an account on rocket.net, and that might be your customer, but you're a user on that account, so you could still access it at all times.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea because a lot of times, it depends who it is, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I need hosting, and I'll just send them an affiliate link and be like, go get hosting, and then I make like $50 or whatever the heck it is. Where if I decided I would just host it myself, I could probably charge them a little bit more, but then it's like I don't really want to deal with it, or whatever it is. But to be able to do that's pretty cool too, just because then at least you're tied into it. You know what I mean? Where else the other thing is I got to be like, hey, send me your login name and password.
Yeah, you're not necessarily going to make money off hosting, right? You're making money off the content management.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, I've got if I were to go to one of my hosting accounts or SiteGround right now, and there's probably a dozen people that I pushed off to that. I've got in my last pass thing, it's like 50 names, and I'm just like, oh gosh, and I got to load into this guy's, then I'll go into this, and then like I said, it's just it just becomes, these things are little, but when you're doing it all day long, and you realize you probably spend 45 minutes a day just jerking around, clicking through different accounts and doing stuff. It's time, so that's why I like how everything's just kind of like right there in the dashboard. I think that's all I really got, man. I mean, there's a lot of good information. I think anybody that would watch this would realize that there's a lot more behind it. It's not just some crappy little, sub thing of a server, or it's a real thing. I mean, and I guess the big thing is the support seems like it's going to be really, really good, and you have a small team and people are there and being responsive and stuff. And I think that's really important, just to get people's questions answered and know that they're being taken care of, because, transferring a site can be pretty stressful, especially, when, especially if you're making money off the site. But I like the fact that you can put it onto the stage and you can test it all out, make sure it all works. And then you're just pulling the trigger, and then everything's, should be happy and, all that good stuff. Yeah,
Definitely.
I think that's
And,
it.
I look at support as just as critical as having a fast website. Us having an enterprise CDN and being the fastest, like there's tons of reviews that people have written that we're literally the fastest WordPress hosting company in the world. And that's awesome. That's what we wanted to be. We found how to get there. But we also want to provide the best support too, because that just doesn't go, unnoticed. Like support is just as important as everything else. I mean, you could have a 5-hour outage. I haven't seen one in years and years and years, but if you do, and you handle it like a champ, and you communicate with your customers, and you do anything and everything to rectify that situation, I mean, things happen. Not saying that we're going to have a 5-hour outage, but I want our customers to be comfortable with the solution we're providing them, and with us as people behind the business. We're not here to try and get rich quick or do some random industry we don't understand. There's a lot of, I always say the one thing you can't teach is passion, and there's a lot of passion involved in this company. So
no, for sure. The fact that I got the email from Aaron, I replied, he came back, hey, I'll hook you up, I'll set you up with this, come check it out, see what you've got going, then get on there. And then you didn't know who I was. It just hit me up, hey, help me out. And now I got the owner of the company helping me out, setting stuff up, and it was like boom, boom, boom. Where normally that would have been a long process.
Yep.
So that's a good thing.
Telling you how passionate it is asleep.
Oh man, but man, I think that's good. I'm going to try to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my sites as far as moving them over and stuff. I just have to go through. I got my whole list of stuff. I got to put them all on. It's so funny going back to my old HostGator accounts and seeing all these websites that are even not there or dead. Yeah. I think there's even some stuff in there like some of the sites had malware. They just old. I don't even know what it's just crap just sitting there.
I moved all my domains over to Cloudflare. So I spent as Ben was launching Rocket, I was like, man, if we're gonna use Cloudflare, I'm gonna clean up. Last thing I want people doing is looking at my domain names and finding out I'm a GoDaddy customer or whatever. So anyway, simple, right? And what the complex part is that I'm a sucker for a good deal. So
yeah.
I had domains everywhere. I'm like, I had one at Namecheap I didn't even know about. I'm like, oh
yeah,
dude, damn it.
No, I do everything. My biggest mistake was years ago when I set up the GoDaddy reseller, like Wild Wild West. I had like my own thing, and I mean, listen, it's not I only just did it for domains, but at the end of the day, back then, if I would have been just handing off all the hundreds of people that have needed domains over the years, if I would have had them rolled into me, I could have been making a nice chunk of change just on renewals every year and all that stuff, But
GoDaddy invited me one time to their Wild Wild West reseller conference.
But that was a trip, huh?
And it was like I wasn't keynote speaker, but I was second keynote speaker. When I got there, it was only 6 people there.
Come on.
How many people showed up, and they had a stage, and I was like, let's just sit around a table and shoot the shit, right? Like,
right. Well, it's probably good for the 6 people. I learned a lot.
Hey, they were their super resellers, but they're the only ones that could afford to come. When they found out, I mean, even their super resellers made all right money, right? They did not bankroll, so anybody below them could not afford to come to their reseller.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of the battles for launching cPanel at GoDaddy was, we don't want to give away IMAP. We need to charge for email. And I'm like, it's 2014, like no cPanel customer is going to pay you. I'm like, who the heck's going to pay for POP3 anyway? So like, well, let's just, and they show me how much revenue it's generating. I'm like, I'm an idiot. I'm like, I should have been selling POP3 email.
Yeah.
We didn't charge for it on cPanel. I told them, I said, look, the money you'll make by being an honest cPanel hosting company will be way more than POP3 email. And then, we ended up doing an Office 365 partnership.
Yeah, 365.
But I was just like, man, who pays for POP3 email? And they're like, well, actually, a lot of people. It generates millions of dollars. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I just have the pure numbers, right? I mean, and the branding and marketing. So everyone's like, go here, and then go to get that $10 domain, and then you're up. So
still use POP3.
Yeah. People probably don't even realize they do.
I know, right?
With SSL, man, we're surprised that people still buy SSL, but it's still it's still
Again, it's a buzzword, and everyone, hey, you have to have SSL, and then most people will have, like I said, the majority of people are buying domains. They don't know. They go to GoDaddy, they buy it, and they get all set up. And I'm saying it's not the worst thing. It's just they're paying for things they don't really need to pay for, but they don't know any better. And the hosting's not as good.
Sometimes they need to pay for SSL, but it's a renewal business, and
yeah.
And even if you're the end user and don't have easy access to get free SSL, so it's worth it to buy it from an assured company for what, $20 a year or whatever. But anyway, still $1 billion industry.
Crazy, right? So, all right, guys. Well, listen. Thanks for taking the time to talk and everything. I'm happy with the hosting so far. The site speed's better. It's almost Friday evening, so I'm probably not going to do anything till next week. But what I'll probably do is probably just get most of my main sites and get that set up and put in a ticket, and send it over and get things moved over and start canceling some of my hosting, offset some costs.
I kind of just give me a shout. We'll get a little Slack channel set up so we can, it's going to obviously be a lengthy process getting all those sites moved. At the end of the day, it's not going to happen in a day, but over the course of time, we'll just set up a Slack channel. And man, I love Slack. Yeah, I'm in. It's funny. I have a interview coming out soon on a site called WP Founders, and I showed it to Aaron. And he goes, dude, you can't just put IRC in there. I'm like, why not? He's like, nobody knows what that is. So he had to put a link to it. So I'm like,
it's
pretty IRC, I
know
without it.
I'm trying to figure out how to organize my life forever. I've used so many tools in Slack. I know some people use Slack, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I know it's easy not bad to use. I don't know.
I got more tools. I got 3 chat apps,
I was trying to make Microsoft Teams work, which has so much potential, but it's Microsoft. So of course they take every little cool thing and they put it together and break it all, and then make it impossible to try to get people outside of your organization to work with you, and it's just like a nightmare.
Ben does too. Ben just downloaded What's Up at what's it called? What's Up?
So we had an affiliate in India that requested to talk on WhatsApp just so we could be in contact. I said, sure, no problem. So now I'm a WhatsApp user.
Nice.
That's how you get a portfolio of apps. And then I found out. Then I found out one day ICQ was available again. So I went and grabbed ICQ, but you can't get your numbers back. It's now associated with email. So I was highly.
Gosh, remember that? All those things. You have your AOL and all these things combined in one spot and everything, right? What was the trillion? Remember the trillion? Was that trillion? It could pull all of them in.
Trilio?
It was no, it was like trillion or something. I think you could have your AIM, your this messenger, all of them in one place and stuff. So ridiculous.
Trillion. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Those guys could have made a play for Slack before Slack.
Right? Yeah, you don't even think about that, man. I'm still so I have a lot of stuff organizing some stuff with my team and stuff, and I think I might actually just move to Trello, to be honest with you. But I still use my
Trello's
email.
Great for that.
Yeah, I still use my email as like my to-do list for the most part. A bazillion unread emails and just go through it like, all right, done. But I'm kind of scaling a lot where I'm trying to actually come back a little from client stuff because it's getting a little crazy. But I'm trying to get more web design and hosting because, like you said, hey, if I can get a couple hundred people hosting with me and charging them whatever a year, it's a nice chunk of change every year, So
absolutely
same with you.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, listen, people could go wherever they want. They can go to they can come here and spend $20 or $30 a month for their hosting, or they could pay me whatever I'm going to pay, but because most people don't have a clue, and I'm just managing it for them. So, and I don't rip people off. I just say, listen, I pull you in, you're under my umbrella. So that's the beautiful thing too. Like, even if I break even on it, they're under my umbrella. They want to do anything. They're talking to me to update their site, to do whatever. And I'm the guy they go to. Hey, I need SEO. I need a new web design. I need this. I need that. So it's kind of like just, get them in.
The good thing to that point too is, since you have scale, even with our platform, the more sites you have, the more affordable. They're not necessarily affordable, but the lower the price per site.
Yeah,
right. So even in your case, somebody can actually come to you and maybe pay less, than $30 a month for a site, and it still makes sense for you because you're getting it at a much lower rate with us due to the volume.
Yeah, if they got 10 sites or something, and I dump them into mine. Now I'm hosting 50 sites or whatever it is, So.
Right.
But all right, cool guys. I'll let you go, man. We're almost pushing an hour here, and I'm gonna try to do a review and get this video up probably next week. And I appreciate it. And good stuff. Congrats on the rocket.net. And interested to see where everything goes. And I appreciate all you did for me yesterday, man.
And so the first round of swag we get, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I love swag. Yeah,
with a can of Spam.
Nice. Yeah. There you go. Hey, who doesn't love Spam, right?
and my kids don't.
Yeah, really? Come on. It's like ham, you know?
No, they spit it out.
Well,
Well, thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it. It was great talking last night as well. And
yeah, cool.
Like I said, when you're ready to start moving stuff, shoot me an email. We'll get you in Slack and we'll knock it out.
All right, we'll do. Awesome, guys. Take it easy. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.